Hello! Welcome to Levels Plus Weekly. Took a week off and I finished some books. Yay! Love finishing books. I said books even, with plural, because I finished First and Frequent Fantasy and Famicom's Writing last weekend. So yay for me. Let's talk about that real quick before I jump into my main topic for today, which will be Spiritfarer. And then we also have some pickups at the end to talk about, so that's exciting. And give it the quality edit that I know she's capable of doing. That is probably the more time random part, mainly because she's got other stuff that she's doing, so we'll see how quickly she's able to get to it. The second step is my other friend who's going to help with the illustration for the cover. My hope is that it comes out in March, but the way I feel about this book is that it's going to come out when the time's right. So if my friend needs more time to edit, if my other friend needs more time to do the art, I'm not going to say that it needs to be out in March, but I'm hoping it'll be out in March. Famicom's writing's also done, but that's going to require more work. I need to design a template for it. I need to then convert all of the entries into that template. The nice thing is that I already have the Famicom and NES versions of Dragon Quest /Warrior 2, so I'm going to get started on that I think next weekend. And then my art book, I also had a really good progress update on that, in that I think I figured out what I want the cover to be, which is, if you check out my art blog, which, boom, down at the bottom you can find a link, the sketch of Julia that I did recently, I'm in the middle of coloring for the cover. So I will share more on all of these book projects as they get further along. So the main topic for today is Spiritfarer. It's a game that I've been playing for about 2 weeks now. So I saw this game, I want to say, at an indie world that Nintendo put up a year and a half ago, maybe 2, I don't remember exactly. But it's a gorgeous looking game, and I loved the premise of being a person that helps spirits resolve their unfinished business in the pre-afterlife phase, and then helping them work that out and escorting them to their final resting place. Ooh, random cat visit. It's very exciting, bud. And upon playing it, it's basically been everything I hoped it would be. It is a visually lush, beautifully animated game with an incredible soundtrack by Max LL. He's over on Bandcamp. Check him out. Speaking of Bandcamp, just as a quick side note, Bandcamp Fridays are really, really awesome. It's a day where Bandcamp basically waives their share of the take of sales, and so everything goes directly to the artist. And I bought Time Spinner and A Short Hike soundtracks Friday, and now that I've gotten deeper in Spiritfarer and I love the music for this game, I'm going to be doing that again in March and buying the Spiritfarer soundtrack and giving Max LL the full amount that he deserves. So again, just a little pop for the coolness that is Bandcamp and buying indie game soundtracks and Bandcamp Fridays. Really, really cool thing that they're doing. So basically, like, visually it's incredible, musically it's incredible. It rivals Gris, and when I say something rivals Gris, which is, in my opinion, the most artistic game I've ever played, it is the most visually stunning game I've ever played, it is one of the best soundtracks in any game, and that's kind of why my little horror spirit friend here is hanging out, is because Spiritfarer reminds me a lot of Gris. The goal in Spiritfarer is to take Stella, who is your protagonist. She's a young woman of color that is tasked with escorting spirits to the Everdoor and taking them to the afterlife. She just takes us over from Charon, who is a Greek figure, if my memory is correct, that is a Spiritfarer. He has retired, and so you are now taking up that mantle. And in that process, you find the spirit of your best friend, Gwen, and discover that you need a boat. So the goal of the game is to explore the world, looking for more spirits, expanding what's available on your boat, and as well as Stella's capabilities, and helping all these wayward spirits that are connected to Stella's past life and giving them peace, however that comes to them. Everybody has their own definition of what peace is, and it's a beautifully emotional experience working and getting to know these characters and interacting with them. Now, Stella's a silent protagonist, so the only time she really talks is through notebook, like quest notes and stuff like that. And Stella is also joined by Daffodil, her cat. So there's a co-op element to this that is really cool. The second player can play as Daffodil. So as you go, you discover Gwen, you get your boat, and then you start building things on your boat. You start exploring the little chunk of the spirit realm that you're in, and it's just a lovely experience. As you build stuff on your boat, you'll discover that you are able to start making things. So you can get a kitchen. We've got Flavia. You can get a kitchen, you get a loom, you get a foundry, you get a sawmill, you get places to put animals, you get fields and gardens and orchards, all kinds of different things to help you make stuff that you need to build stuff on your boat and to further the game's plot. Because as you go, each spirit has requirements to get them to the end of their journey. Some of that involves making them stuff like food, specific food, or making them a house to live in. Okay, so each spirit has different tasks for you to get them to the end of their journey. So some of them require food, some of them require you to build things, most require you to build them a house, and then you can also add stuff into the house. And I think that helps with making them feel at home and happier. There is a happiness mechanic that as you do things that they like, that helps them want to give you things in return, which is really cool. Gwen is a good example since she's the first spirit. She is someone who is an expert at using the loom. So when you build the loom, that progresses her story, and also she teaches you how to do it. And then while she's still a part of your crew on the boat, she will occasionally go to the loom and make stuff for you, or she will buy thread for you. And each spirit you recruit along the way has their own perks and their own things that they assist with as you go through the game. I'm going to keep the rest of the spirits on the DL because I feel like a huge part of this game's joy is in its narrative and in its story and the writing. I'll just say that I have had some incredibly emotional tears rolling down my face, like loss feelings in this game with a couple of the spirits. The most recent one that I did take to the Everdoor was a fairly minor character in terms of connection, but even then, it's a really powerful experience letting these spirits go from Stella's life, because they're also leaving yours. It's a very moving, emotional, powerful game. There was one character in particular who I really needed to learn from this weekend, and just even thinking about it now is making me a little bit emotional. Very into meditation, we'll just say, and taught me a lot. So as you go through the game and you help these spirits find their way, you'll get stuff that helps you progress the game. So each spirit, as they leaves a spirit flower behind in their house, which helps you upgrade your boat. And then finding new spirits gives you an odal, if I remember correctly, which you can then use at certain shrines at specific islands to upgrade Stella's abilities. So you'll get like a double jump is the first one. And I'll keep the rest under wraps. But they help you get to progress to new areas and explore each of these areas more as you do them. And then as you upgrade your boat, you're able to expand the map, get through ice and rocks and other such obstacles that are limiting your journey capabilities, and just be able to explore the full world and discover different regions, which are all unique. I won't go into too deep of specifics here, but let's just say that in the original area you're in, it's very, it's more Japanese influence than anything else. But once you cross the ice region, it's very different. It reminds me of like parts of Canada way up north. So it's like each region does have its own unique styling to it. And you have to expand the boat size because you just keep building things. Eventually, when you start having, like, you've got fields and gardens and orchards and foundries and sawmills and sheep quarters and all of your spirits' houses, eventually you just run out of space in the grid that you have. So you do need to keep upgrading the boat. And then you earn new buildings as you get deeper. And the thing that I haven't really touched on yet is what some of these buildings do for making stuff. So I think I mentioned the kitchen. So like you have to make food for your spirits as they hang out on your boat. And eventually, as you acquire animals like sheep, you need to feed them too. So you feed your spirits and you feed your sheep and other animals as you earn them. Through that process, they stay happy and they help you out on the boat. But there's other things, like I've mentioned, that there's fields, gardens, orchards provide food or various items like cotton or linen that you can use in the loom to make thread and fabric. And then there's also the sawmill, which you can cut trees and make planks, so that way you can build different things. And you also get sawdust, which you can then make into coal, which can help with the foundry, which you create ingots from, which you need coal to burn. And then each spirit also introduces a unique collectible of sorts on the map. So Gwen, for instance, has jellies that she can trigger, and those jellies produce Glyn, I think is what the currency's called, but they also provide jelly, which you can use for some of the pickups that you need, or some of the upgrades that you need throughout the game. And that's just how the game works, is that you go around and you explore the area as best you can, you get the items that you need to progress, you refine them as you need, and then you build the stuff, you upgrade things, you upgrade your boat, you help the spirits with their quests, which some are time triggered, some are triggered by doing stuff, some are triggered by interacting with other spirits. So it's a lot of moving parts all at once. But overall, it's a really enjoyable experience. I've been loving this game so much. It's not perfect. No game's perfect. It has some technical stuff that I've noticed. I've had 2 lockups where I got kicked out of the game entirely, which did show that the autosave is perhaps not as tight as I would like it to be, because I've had to repeat a good amount of quest stuff when that's happened. I've noticed that the high-res artwork sometimes gets fuzzy because the camera just didn't quite pan the right way. And I've noticed a typo once or twice, but doesn't really take away from the writing. It's just something that I personally noticed because I look for those things. I've noticed that the game, as you progress through it, the need to make stuff, which seems so prominent at the beginning, just really kind of dies down a bit as you get deeper and deeper into it. So it's more like, instead of just like you're having to make stuff all the time while you're sailing about, you're just making stuff as you feel like you hit a roadblock. And that's okay. The biggest issue, I think, with the game on the whole is repetitiveness. There is a lot of, like, for example, we'll use the loom. To do the loom, you have to make the thread and the fabric, you have to actually do the process. So I'm showing you basically how it works. You have to hold A to get it to a point, let go of it when it gets to the little golden mark, and if you do it right, it'll shine and you'll get a bonus item. Every single building that requires you to build stuff does it differently. So like the kitchen has a timer, and you can eventually unlock the ability to do 2 items to make more complicated dishes. The sawmill, you have to move a little blade up and down to line up with arrows. And it changes each time. The problem is that if you're needing to make stuff, it just can get a little old having to do like... I think really the biggest issue is the fact you have to tap A multiple times to actually maximize the amount of stuff you want to do. It'd be nice if they just made that a left or a right, but they made it A, and that's okay. But it just can get a little old. It would be nice if there was a way to speed this process up instead of just increasing the production amount. Just make it go a little faster, or double like what I'm getting out of each thing. That would have been nice. The foundry's probably the worst in terms of time, because each one takes, you have to adjust bellows, and each ore that you get has its own burning property, and it just varies, and then you just have to kind of wait for the time to run out and the meter to max out. I just feel like there's something that could have been done, I think, at this point in the game to speed that process up. There's also a lot of backtracking, which personally I don't mind that much, and there is a bus stop system that acts as a fast travel. So I don't really dislike having to backtrack. But I think part of the problem is that you just kind of get into a routine when you're backtracking, and I've gotten into a routine where I've got an orchard that produces fruit, 2 different types. So I basically am now not needing to really pay attention to the kitchen all that much, except for one spirit that I just recruited that doesn't like simple dishes. So now I have to actually go back to it when I've had this nice, here's a fruit, next day here's a different fruit. Here's the first day's fruit on the 3rd day. And it's just, there's just little things like that that I think could have just been polished up just a tad more to really make this game true, like shine even more than it does. Because let me just say that Spiritfarer is a marvelous game. I'm loving the experience, and these little complaints about repetitiveness and backtracking, and wish there was ways to speed up the mini game part of it. I'm saying that because I it's like the littlest things that are knocking it down just the tiniest peg. I'm feeling this is a top 50 game. Let's just put it that way. I'm feeling like this game's going to be in my top 50 when I get through it. And I'm about, I want to say close to 2/3 maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but I know I'm past the halfway point. Absolutely marvelous game. Highly recommended. Thunder Lotus did a wonderful job. It's everything that I hoped it would be and more. Highly, 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 highly recommend you check it out. So, with that done, let's take a little cat intervention, and we'll jump into my pickups for this week. You look so smug. Hi. Welcome to LVLS Weekly, Part 2 where I'm awkwardly upside down looking at the camera. Because why not? I've got some boxes from my forum friend Lucas that I'm gonna open. It's very exciting. Let's since there's a lot of address stuff, I'm going to just kind of open them off screen, quote unquote. So I'll be right back. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with the small box on the top. All kinds of stuff in here. So basically what happened is that my friend is about to move and is desperately trying to clear out stuff and was willing to ship things. So I asked for a lot of stuff. Some of this stuff is games I've had in the past that I've decided that I want to own again. But quite a bit of it is stuff I've never owned before. So let's go ahead and get started. First off the bat is Soul Nomad. There we go. And the World Eaters. This was released by NIS. All I understand is that this is a strategy RPG of some sort. I don't know a whole lot about it. A lot of this stuff is PS2 era. Like this complete edition of Manachemia, Alchemist of Alribus, which I guess is connected to the, this is the full original release, so it comes with a soundtrack. As well as the game itself. So this is pretty cool. I don't know much about this either, but the sprite work looks nice. Next up is Valkyrie Profile 2, Samaria. I have enjoyed the little bit I've played of Valkyrie Profile 1. So I thought I would give the sequel a chance. I didn't really care for the DS one much, but we'll see how I feel about that one. This one's kind of random. It is Castlevania the Dracula X Chronicles for the PSP. Now, I don't have a PSP, but I figured that I could just have this Castlevania game in case on the off chance I ever have a PSP, and it just gets me closer to having all of the games in my favorite series. I also got Mad Max Fury Road, the movie, not a game. There's a couple of more movies in here. I also got Little King's Story, which is one of the ones I have owned in the past. I like this game, but the difficulty got really hard, so I kind of gave up on it, but I've kind of regretted selling it, and I'm happy to have it again. The composer of Skies of Arcadia is on that. And then Eternal Poison, which is another strategy RPG, I believe, from Atlas and Flight Plan. Comes with a soundtrack. I know nothing about this game. I saw that the ratings weren't 100% off the charts, but I'm happy to give it a try. And then Shadow Hearts. And Shadow Hearts Covenant. I sold both of these a little while ago. But I kind of regretted doing so. So when I saw that they were on my friend's list, I decided to try it again. And then I've got 1080 Avalanche for the GameCube. I had this when I was in the GameCube days. It's not as good as 1080 Snowboarding, and I think that my disappointment in that prevented me from really getting into it. So I just kind of was like, and got rid of it. But I'm going to give it another shot. I really like the art for it. I always have. So let me scoot that box off screen. Now let's see what's inside this one. Well, you can kind of see. You're going to get a little bit more of less of a tease than in the last one. So I got the case for Rocket Slime, Dragon Quest Heroes Rocket Slime. Another friend had sent me their copy or a card of Rocket Slime, but now I have the case, so that's cool. Then I've got Grim Grimoire. This was one of Vanillaware's first games, hopefully one of their least pervy games. Of course, I say that as the cover art has upskirt of the main character falling, but anyway, Suikoden 4. This is the first time I've owned Suikoden 4. This is the weak link in the original 5 games, from my understanding, but that's okay. I'm happy to have it. And I also got Suikoden 5, which is the second time I've owned it. I owned Suikoden 5. It was actually the first Suikoden I played, but it didn't quite catch me. But now that I played 1 and 2, and I'm going to start 3 probably after I get done with Spiritfarer, it's nice to have the physicals of 4 and 5, because I have no other physical copies of Suikoden. And here's another Shadow Hearts game from the New World. Now, I actually have the disc for From the New World already, but I didn't have the manual or the case, and now I have all of it. So I'll probably sell off the disc of the old one, depending on condition. And then Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. Now, I don't like Echoes as much as the original Prime. And this even has the bonus disc, which I don't even remember what's on the bonus disc, so that's kind of exciting. But it's a really good game, and after being really disappointed in Corruption, I'm glad to have it again. And since Nintendo has been so slow to ever release Metroid Prime Trilogy on the Switch, and I'm kind of concerned how they're going to do it, I'm happy to have it. And then I got, the last game in here is Ikaruga. I don't want to buy the Switch one because I don't want to support Nicalis. And if you followed Levels Plus at all, you'll know how I feel about Nicalis. And then last but not least, I got two Marvel movies. I got Deadpool and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Have a wonderful have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Talk to you soon.